You know what it is. Welcome to the best coast. Yo, it's Bronze Age nerd with that collecting elite. Bigby McFly steady bringing the vintage heat. Pull up a seat, we diving in the stacks. Silver to the bronze, got the knowledge on tap. From Kirby's Kings to the mutants, wow. We breaking it down in that laid back style. So grab your snacks, let the panels unfold. This is comic book chilling with the stories we told. Comic book vibes, we flipping them pages. Legends and lore from all the ages. Golden to the modern, we talk that news. With Bigby McFly and the nerd cut loose. Yo, you tune into that Bronze Age flow, where comics live and legends grow. Bigby McFly in the cut, let's fly. Best coast, baby, comics are what saved me. Big, yeah. Best coast, baby, comics are what saved me.
Hello, comics and pop culture people. It's your friend Brian, aka Bigby McFly, the comic guy, and welcome to Best Coast Comics. This week, my co-host that is usually here is not able to make it. He's having his anniversary with his lovely wife. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to my co-host for this week, the awesome and talented.
Over here, Jay, Producer Jay for the experience. You usually hear me as the voice from beyond.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, thanks for joining me tonight, Jay. Yeah, we just wanted to make sure we got to give Bronze a chance to hang out with his family and spend some time with his wife. Well deserved. And so we're here tonight to do a show about powerful characters.
Yes.
And yeah. So, but before we do that, I guess we should say hi to the chat. So let's see who we got coming in here first. We got GT Key.
Yep.
Taking the gold. And then we got Richard coming in silver and bronze and copper. And Richard kind of went crazy.
Yeah.
And then some more GT Key. Well, we got GT Key and Richard go on a bunch. And then we got Bronze just giving us a little bit of pressure. Just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you. Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, not at all.
He says, you can delete it later. No, it's on there forever now for posterity's sake. Yeah, Tropes, no ban. Please don't leave. But yeah, so let's see who else we got here. We got the XP. Well, that would be you, sir. Then Christina Payne, my friend Christina Payne. Tropes giving us a thumbs up. Christina asking us, everybody, please remember to hit that like button. Christina saying, what up, Jay? John Stout saying hi, all. Mr. Nope. Hey, from what's the other channel?
Weird-Dopes. And usually, yeah. Usually one of the I don't even say guests anymore. I say co-hosts on the Hydra Hangout with him and Ed.
That's right. So I got to do a little hanging out with you this weekend on your channel, Hydra Asylum. And it was I'm going to ask you. We talked a little bit off camera. How did you come up with the name Hydra Asylum for your channel?
So many moons ago, we were thinking about, my wife and I and some friends, we were thinking about opening up a comic shop. And I've always had a weird mashup kind of brain where mash two things together that shouldn't go together. And they wanted to call it the Asylum. I thought Hydras were cool mythical creatures. So I was like, why don't we just call it Hydra Asylum? And everybody dug it. Yep, everybody dug it. So I was like, okay. So my wife actually paid for the name. And nothing ever came. Yeah, it's trademarked. Thank you. Nothing ever came of the store. So when we started doing YouTube, our old name was Triangle of Truth. Now, the reason we said this is because there was three of us. It was me, my wife, my buddy Sean. And the way we would sit would look like a triangle, and we'd talk all night about movies and stuff like that. So that's what we thought we were going to call the channel until, about 2.5 years in, maybe 3, we noticed that whenever you look up Triangle of Truth, it's usually like Bermuda Triangle, conspiracies, things like that. We weren't very easy to
The
find.
truth is out there.
Yeah. So basically, Sean was like, man, I think we need to change the name. And I was like, well, why don't we use Hydrosylum? It's, we're sitting on the trademark. Oh, why not?
Right.
Call it Hydrosylum Comics. And we did, and we noticed, hey, people could find us a lot easier that way. And the channel kind of, I don't want to say exploded, but this was a channel where we were, like I said, 3 years in, and we had maybe 120 subs, and now we're at 625. We lost 2 recently, but that's how it goes on YouTube. You gain, you lose.
I think they go through and they kind of weed out. And a lot of times, if you're not for those of you who are watching right now, actually, this is a good time to say, you're watching on my channel, Bigby McFly, the comic guy. We are also broadcasting on Bronze Age Nerds channel, as well as the EXP. And then you can do me a favor and also check out Jay's channel, the Hydrosylum. So any of those 4 channels, if you're not already subbed, sub up to them. But also every once in a while, you want to double check if you're not getting notifications and whatnot. Sometimes YouTube will unsubscribe you to things. So I've noticed that on my own feeds of stuff. So continue.
Yep. That it's such a weird thing too, because I had subbed to you before. And I was like, yeah, I never get any kind of notifications. And then when I started working the show, I was like, well, you know what? Let me go check. And sure enough, I wasn't subbed anymore. So I was like, well, let me fix that.
I think they just go through and they kind of go randomly like, well, we'll check and see if you really wanted to see that channel or not.
Yeah. YouTube's a weird thing, man. It's weird trying to figure it out, because every time you think you're close to figuring it out, something changes and the whole thing is.
I think sometimes like they're looking through trying to weed out bot accounts. So a lot of times like you'll notice you'll lose like 10 subscribers, and I think it's because they're finding like bots that have subbed up to you and they're like, okay, those guys are out. Or they've gone through and randomly picked 10 people who really liked your channel and said, you don't need to be subscribed to that. But,
Yeah.
So Bronze and I usually at this point we talk about like things that we're watching, things that we're reading. So I will let you lead off. Anything that you are watching, reading, enjoying right now, in particular?
Let's see. I made me a little list of stuff we've been watching. I fall asleep to South Park, but I do watch it.
Okay.
I still watch South Park. No matter how many times
Religiously,
I've seen it. Yeah. No matter how many times I've seen it, I fall asleep to it.
Right.
I notice now that I don't want to say I'm old or anything, but I noticed the older I got, I started liking stuff like how it's made, which as a younger person, I was like, how do people watch this? Now it fascinates me. So yeah, instead of watching new stuff, like I should be watching, some of the series that I haven't gotten to yet, as far as comic book goes. I'm sitting here watching South Park and how it's made.
It's easy to digest, though. It's like kind of like comfort food, right?
Exactly. We recently, my wife and I, did a rewatch of the Final Destination series.
Oh, well, that's timely though, right? With the show, is the new movie out yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Haven't seen it yet. I'm not really a big movie goer. I'm one of those people that's like, unless it's something I really want to see, Superman, I usually wait till streaming. But it was one of those things where Ed said it best when I was explaining this to him. Your brain plays tricks on you sometimes, because I remember those movies, unless I'm just desensitized to violence now, I remember those movies being a lot worse, especially after the first one.
Right.
Rewatching them, I'm like,
you're like, this is tame. What's going on?
not that bad. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some bad ones in that series. There are
Right.
some very bad ones in that series, but it's one of those things where I'm like, the first one to me is always the best, always my favorite.
I saw somebody posted a thing with the viral marketing things that they were doing, and they had the log truck with the chains hanging with the Final Destination sign on the back of the logs.
No, I am still to this day. I don't like being behind log trucks. I just don't.
Right. You're just like, I just see that scene right through the
Yes,
windshield.
every single time if they're carrying pipes or logs or what have you, I don't like being behind them. You know, when these movies were coming out, uh, I had started my job at a grocery store, and the first department I started in was a deli. Now, deli, you deal with slicers, big blade that spins around. So I've been watching these movies and then have to go to work, and I'm like, this is how it ends for me. I'm going to
Yeah.
take a slicer blade somehow.
One of my earliest jobs was that way. I didn't work in the meat department particularly, but my job was to clean up after the butchers and everything. So I had to take the blades off the big saws and everything. I was always like, something can go really, really sideways here really quick.
Yeah. And as far as movies go, the last thing we watched kind of recently was The Gorge.
Oh, that was really good. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Really was. It really was good. My wife was like, it's like an SCP.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I was like, yeah, you're right. After watching, I was like, this was a pretty good movie. So as far as watching stuff, it's always older stuff with me. It takes me a while before I'm like, I still haven't watched Penguin.
Oh,
Like, and I
that
was
was pretty
super
good.
excited
I
for
enjoyed that a lot. Make you angry at the end, tell you.
So how about you?
I haven't really been watching just a lot of like YouTube, your show this weekend. A lot of my friends just popping in and saying hi on their channels, making some content, some little shorts here and there and whatnot. Watched I guess I'm like, the service that I'm watching everything on is like a little bit behind. So I guess The Last of Us is over with, but I'm on the second to last episode. So caught that. Some Big Bang Theory, you know, getting caught up on that. Yeah. So yeah, we should have to chat what they've been watching recently. I don't know if we're getting anything of that coming through, but yeah, interested to hear if anybody's seeing anything. Oh, also Mobland. Been watching that a lot.
Oh,
I'm up
good things.
to speed on that. That's really good. Yeah, really good. But
Things that I've heard are good are Mobland and White Lotus.
I haven't watched White Lotus, but I've heard it's good. Yeah. What to anybody else? White Lotus. I know Bronze is watching White Lotus, so yep, we'll have to ask him about that next time. But yeah. So any recent pickups? Anything that you've gotten in hand that you're jonesing to read, or have just gotten to crack open recently? Or
I got a couple of things. Let me go ahead and switch that over here. Make me big for just a minute. So
yeah, no problem.
We had a couple weeks ago Michael Walsh, who's the artist for this book, Exquisite Corpses, from Image. It's James Tynan book. I got the James Stokoe variant.
That's a hot book.
I've only gotten halfway through it just because I've been busy. And then I set it down, forget that I'm reading it, and read something else. And then I go back to it. I'm like, oh. So I haven't finished it yet, which is kind of par for the course with me when it comes to books. But this is really good so far. Like, we had Michael Walsh on the FOC show, our Friday FOC show with Matthias Lewis from Nowhere Comics. And he was talking this up, and the way he talked about it, I was just like, you know what? Went to the comic shop, saw they had some there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick it up. James Tynan, I'm a fan. Michael's art is really good. So far, really good book. Check that out. Exquisite Corpses.
Yeah, it's got quite the following, apparently.
And then, I had to with this one. Had to pick up
Oh
my
yeah,
Battle
of
Beast.
course. You know, I mean, that's
Oh,
that's all the rage right now. I mean, I got caught in that blind bag thing. My buddy was doing some of that on whatnot, and I got some blank sketches so I can do sketch covers on that. So
tell you a funny story about those blind bags. So when we went to the comic shop, all that was gone. It was basically all A covers, one sketch cover. My buddy Sean picked up the sketch cover. I just wanted an A cover anyway. I just wanted to read it.
right.
Kyle had actually gotten one of those blind bags
Uh-huh.
and got on Facebook. Goes, should I open this? I was like, yeah. Most of everybody was like, yeah, go ahead and open it. So he did like a live opening of it.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't you know it, for Kyle, he just got the cover A.
Oh no. That's hilarious.
I was just thinking to myself, I was like, dude, look, I'm not against the blind bag thing. I thought that was kind of cool. Good way to sell
Yeah.
copies. But my thing was, of all things to put in the blind bag, why would you put the A cover?
Right. Well, it's because it's like that's the default, right? You at least get your money back on the A cover. So
True. And that, that's basically what Kyle said. Kyle wasn't mad or anything, but
it didn't unless you bought, like I bought mine on Whatnot from my buddy just to kind of support him, but they cost a little bit more there. But in the shops, they didn't cost any more than buying the regular issue. It was just
true.
a shot at getting something super cool, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was funny. Swaggle he was like, I guess that one of the things you can get is issue 2, but wouldn't you want issue 1 before being? And he opens his up, and the first thing he gets is issue 2.
Awesome. So last thing we got from the actual shop was this. My wife picked up Exo Manowar Invictus, this hardcover.
Oh, cool. I was going to ask you about that. You got the Exo Manowar poster in the background. Are you a big Exo fan?
Oh yeah, he's one of my top 5. Like it's basically Bloodshot, Exo, Ninjak, Quantum and Woody are a team. Livewire.
Wow, so you are a big Valiant fan then.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I love what's his name? Arik? Is that the name?
Arik of Dacia.
Yeah,
Exo
the
Manowar,
original
yeah.
Exo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Such a cool. If you guys aren't familiar, he's like a Conan type character, right? Basically, and he gets this space age battle armor that keeps him alive all the way to the 20th century.
Yeah, he's a 3rd or 4th century Visigoth, and aliens come down. They're going to do the swap because the big, like, bads, I can't remember what the alien race is called, but it's basically they're throughout the entirety of the 2012, 2014 kind
the
of
spider
series.
aliens? The spider aliens?
The Hive or something like that. I can't remember
Yeah.
what. The Vine. They're
Okay.
called the Vine, and they're swapping babies and people out for theirs. And he gets taken, and he's a slave on the ship for like 5 years. And they have this suit of armor called, and I always get the name wrong, like Shannara or Sharhana. And they're trying to get it to bond with their people.
That
It's
it
not
kills
working.
them every time, right?
Yes, it kills him every time. Somehow, some way, it bonds with Arik. He escapes the ship and decides he's going to fly home. Well, by the time he gets to home, it's the 21st century. So to me, when I first heard the concept of it, I was like, this shouldn't work at all, but it works so well.
Yeah,
And it talks to him,
and then yeah, and then he learns how to be a modern man. It's great.
yeah.
He becomes kind of like a successful businessman, doesn't he? Later on in the
I think there's an Acclaim, like when Acclaim picked them up, they kind of rewrote all the origin stories, and one of them, he's kind of a Tony Stark-like character, kind of like for Acclaim, Ninjak was a kid who beat the Ninjak video game. Like Acclaim was a weird time with Valiant, and they had that license.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I was really enjoying the early Valiant stuff. In fact, one of the Valiant characters is in our list of OP.
I was excited when I saw that. Last 2 things I got. Sean ordered from Third Eye Comics and it's the logo foil
Oh yeah.
Martian Manhunter
So that's Absolute Martian Manhunter and
and
Absolute Green
Absolute Green
Lantern.
Lantern.
Those are cool. I hadn't seen the Green Lantern one. I'd seen the Manhunter one, but that's cool.
Dude, that's just he told me, he goes, hey man, he goes, I know you're not a cover person because I'm more of like a one or two. Was trapped in the back. He's on
Oh, you want to read that out loud?
the panel where he was trapped back in time. He uses the armor to put him in suspended animation, and then his assistant finds him, and it has roots coming out of all the armor. Amazing image.
Yeah. That's cool. I always kept meaning to ask you about that because I see that EXO poster in the background. I was like, I wonder how big of an EXO fan are you? And like a lot of that stuff was like Barry Windsor Smith art in some of that stuff. I mean, a lot of the solar stuff was Barry Windsor Smith. I know Archer and Armstrong. Yeah, really good stuff. I mean, high quality. And yeah, Bart Sears. That's right. Bart Sears doing. That's right.
I would suggest anybody, even like I know Alien has them right now. You could definitely pick up right there. I would suggest looking around the 2012, 2014 runs, or even earlier if you want to, because that's when like I got it as a kid. I got into it as a kid, and then kind of fell off with them, and then around 2016, 2017, people started talking about Valiant again. And I was like, okay, went to my LCS. Sure enough, they had all these runs. I mean, we have Shadow Man and
Dollar Bin, right?
Mirage. Yeah, the dollar debuts were really great. And their first trade being, and I think Image does the same thing too. First trade's $10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the original stuff though, for a while there, you could pick up a lot of it in the Dollar Bin. Now you can get a lot of the later stuff. The pre-Unity stuff though is really hard to find as far as like cheaper. Every once in a while you run across it though, and it's a great deal. If you guys find pre-Unity Valiant stuff, it's something to pick up and hang on to.
Awesome. So,
and then the really cool like the gold foil limited edition stuff. I see people finding those too now. Pretty cool, super limited. Yeah. But
so Bigby, what you got?
Well, let's see. I picked up stuff from 3 different places. So there's a junk shop here in town. It's not a junk shop, but it's like he started up a little shop. He's got like a Superman logo on the door, but he started it because he collected Funko Pops and he had a lot of doubles and triples. So he's got a lot of Funko, a lot of plushies, a lot of that, but he still has a few bins of comics. Well, I went in there and helped him sort through and told him like what was worth money, and he actually had like an X-Men number 9 in one of his bins, like the original Silver Age X-Men number 9. He had no idea what anything was worth. He had a first appearance of Deadpool, bunch of stuff in there. I pulled it all out. I said, this stuff is worth money. The rest of it, you could sell it for anywhere from $1 to $3 and not have to worry about it. Well, I hadn't been in a long time. I came in and he has everything at $5 and up now. And so I was going through and everything, it seemed like was overpriced. And I'm like, man. And finally I came across 2 things. I'm like, what are you pricing this with? He's like, oh, I've got this thing and it scans it and it tells me good deal, bad deal. And then I'm like, it's not even relatively close on a lot of the keys, but I picked this up. So the iconic cover X-Men number 11. And then this next one, he had this one at $10. This one was $10. Newsstand, first Gambit.
Wow.
$10. I was like, wait, your app is telling you all these other things, but it's telling you this is $10. He scanned it again before I bought it and it said $10. I'm like, okay, I don't know what app you're using, but I'm not using that. So that was pretty cool. Okay, we got Derpa Doo. We've got something here going. He's talking about Shadow Man. You want to talk about that real quick?
Being a New Orleanian, Shadow Man was my absolute favorite. Got to meet Bob Layton and Bob Hall at my LCS and have every one of my volume books signed by them. Jack Boniface is my favorite, like one of my favorite Shadow Man. Like my wife, that's like her dude. I know that Nintendo put out a Shadow Man game a while back, very while back. I don't even remember the year, but when
Hey,
I first
Kyle.
saw the commercial for it, I was like, "Who is this guy? That doesn't look like Shadow Man."
His app is on the drugs. And then a buddy of mine, Son of Prom, I don't know if you guys know him. He pops in the chat every once in a while here. Really cool guy. If you guys haven't checked him out, awesome channel. He's doing once a month. He's doing once a month a claim sale, but the claim sale has something different going on that most claim sales have. It's free. Every book is free. So he covers the screen. You don't get to see what's going on. He puts up 10 books. And the first like, let's say 6 or 7 rounds, he was like, I'm not going to say what's worth what or anything. You guys all just need to know what's valuable and start grabbing. And so I was doing pretty well. And then after a while, he started going, he's like, man, Bigby, you're cleaning up. He's like, so he would pull up before he put it up on the wall. He'd be like, this book's worth $40. So then you're kind of like guessing, like, okay, it's going to be on Jay. So this stuff is from his claim sale. So with the facsimile JLA #1, the showcase Green Lantern #1, or first appearance of Green Lantern, not #1, but first Green Lantern. So those are kind of smaller things. But then this is one of the limited edition, limited to 1,500 copies from Bryce Comics, Ultimate Wolverine.
Oh, wow.
The limited to 1,500 copies Red Hulk from Bryce Comics. This one was a really cool one to grab for free. First appearance of Red Hood.
Oh, wow.
This one was also a really cool one to grab for free. Conan the Barbarian #8. He is switching over to, he's only doing graded books, and he's just doing this to be kind to the community. And so if you guys check out his channel, it's really cool. Then the last thing I got from him was, actually, I traded somebody who got this from him. The foil Absolute Batman Jim Lee cover, the Virgin trade dress one. So
So nice.
yeah, #1. So traded Mr. Akins that X-Men God Loves Man Kills that I got at the pawn shop a little while ago. Traded it for that. So, and then lastly, I got some books from my buddy Trav from Comics Limited. He does his Whatnot show every week. He's doing them Sunday nights now. So I got some sketch covers. So we got a previous exclusive. I think this is Carnage taking over the Hulk.
Oh, wow.
So Immortal Hulk 20. Sketch cut. These are J. Scott Campbell sketch covers. Midtown Comics, J. Scott Campbell variant cover, sketch cover. Amazing Spider-Man 11. This one is another Midtown exclusive Superior Spider-Man 31, J. Scott Campbell. I think these kind of connect, but so it's a sketch cover for that.
Oh, that's nice.
And I bought quite a bit of stuff on there, and so he had, you can get points, I guess, and you get little spiffs. And so with the spiffs I bought, he showed some more expensive books, and so these are homage covers to the original ASM covers. So this one was Black Cat originally. This is Ultimate Spider-Man, and it's signed by Campbell. So that one there, got the COA on the back.
Oh.
And then this one again was originally Black Cat kissing Peter Parker and Mary Jane. So this is Mary Jane kissing him and the kids in the background. So signed by Campbell again with the COA. And the last one, this one was pretty sweet. This is a homage to one of his biggest Spider-Man covers. That's the Ultimate Spider-Man homage to that. and it's a 9/8 signed by Campbell. So pretty cool. So those are some things I picked up just recently.
Man, it's a good little haul you got there.
Yeah, I thought I did pretty good on those. Well, because I had been buying stuff from him through this whole cycle, and they give you points, so you go from bronze to silver to gold to platinum, and you get these. And I didn't even realize that I had been accruing these things. And he's like, "Hey, they're gonna cycle out the points pretty soon." And I was like, "What points?" And he's like, "At the top, there's a little button you click, and it has points, and you can use them." And I'm like, "Oh!" And it was like it was $10 off an item, $10 or less, and so it was like free, $20 off, $25 off, half off, so it's like, oh, so I'm like buying stuff left and right. so yeah. What did it cost? Sometimes I think Overstreet is way off in terms. Why is this random book $100? But I'll take the money. Yeah, back in the 90s, everyone looked like Master.
That's true.
Trying to get every Arthur Adams book. Yeah, Arthur Adams is one of my favorites. For sure. Arthur Adams, John Byrne, Jim Lee, big influences on my art in particular. But
hey, Son of Crom.
Hey, there he is. There's Son of Crom, the fella I was just talking about. So you guys check out his channel. Super generous guy. Has his free claim sale coming up, so make sure to bookmark that. But just showing the amazing books that I got from you there, sir, or some of the amazing books. I got more than just that, but just some of the highlights. So yeah, guys, be sure to check that out. But, you're walking the dog. Is that like code for something? All right, so we got through our watching stuff, our pickups. We talked a little bit about you and your channel. How long have you been collecting comics now, Jay?
Oh goodness. Oh man.
Approximately. Doesn't have to be down to the day, minute, hour, second, but What was your first book?
I think heavily the last 12 years. Like, I wasn't someone who, when I was a kid, got a lot of comics. I might have had 4 or 5 at a time, and then between moves or just being a kid, not knowing any better, rolling them up, putting them in my pocket, losing them on a bike ride somewhere. So I would say kind of real into it 12, 13 years, something like that.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I would get in trouble a lot because we'd get the Sunday paper. That's how I was reading comics first.
Okay.
Was comic strips.
Yeah.
So I would tear the paper up to get the Sunday funnies, and my parents would be like, "What'd you do to the paper?" I was like, "Gotta get the funnies." And I would keep those for a while.
Right.
And they were like, you can't keep newspaper clipping comic stuff. I was like, okay. But the first one I remember reading after what formed my love of comics was being shown Superman 78 when I was about 3 or 4, somewhere around that area.
Okay.
Seeing that movie and then being told, that there's comics, there's stuff for this character. And I was like, really?
Right.
I'm 3 or 4. I don't know any better. But that also helped me read when I was a kid too. Some of my older cousins were into comics. So the first one I read was probably a facsimile, a reprint of a Superman 199 that had the Flash and Superman racing on the cover.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Kyle actually got me a copy of it for Christmas one year. So I have it. It's in my collection. Should be in the safe, but it's in the collection somewhere. So I'm too afraid to pull it out and read it. But it's just nice to have something like that.
You just get a facsimile and keep it with it so you can read it. And
I
know what's inside of that.
I am all for doing reprints, and I'm never going to have a New Mutants 98.
They're everywhere. You'll find one someday.
Well, so I'll take my True Believers copy that I have,
Right.
or
Right.
my reprint of the first, the first Hulk. Like, I love reprints and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
if that's how I get to read the story, I'm all for it.
for sure. That's cool. Right on. So you mentioned Superman. Superman or Exo? Who's?
Oh, it's always Superman. I am the
So
biggest Superman mark. People ask me all the time, "Who's your favorite Superman?" Superman. I don't
Superman is
have
Superman.
yeah, I don't have a there's not a story that I've read that I didn't like. There's not a writer that's written him that I didn't like. There's not an actor who's portrayed him that I didn't like. Like, there's just something about Superman. And yes, when we get into the topic at hand, you're going to be surprised that, yeah, I think Superman's been OP for quite some time. And uh,
Yeah,
he's,
we have some opinions on that, though, right? Like, we'll get into
yeah,
that.
yeah. But there's just,
Well, you know what? There's a reason. Then there's a reason why it's not Superman. It's magic because He-Man's magic, right?
Yep. But he's just one of those characters, man, that I'm a fanatic for. There's, the story that I did a review on All-Star Superman because I haven't read everything Superman. Okay. I'm not going to be like, I know everything about him, because I don't. That's the best
No,
part.
that was something we talked about off the air.
Yeah.
We both said I am the first person to be willing to say I don't know everything. I know a lot of things. I've heard a lot of things third hand, and
But
I
I
don't
love
know,
learning.
they don't always jive with what's reality. So,
Yep.
I'm always willing to admit when someone knows more than me or can add to my knowledge base. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I know we as people don't usually like being proven wrong or told we're wrong. But when it comes to comics, I kind of like that. Like, if I say something that's thank you, Son of Chrome. If I say something that's wrong and somebody corrects me, that I'm not going to be like, well, or be all indignant about it. I'm going to be like, oh, okay, thank you,
Does
because I
He-Man
don't.
win on Earth?
Ooh,
What was the first appearance of He-Man in the DC Presents? Superman's in grave danger on that cover.
yeah, it's
Because
true.
the sword is magical, right? So I mean,
That is accurate. That is
yeah.
accurate. Fulligan, I'll get you next time, Superman.
Hey, Collector P. So for those tuning in, if you're expecting to see Bronze Age Nerd, it is his anniversary. He's spending some time with his wife and his family. So we are here to entertain you, and we'll bring you back to your regularly scheduled programming next week. but we're going to do our best to do a great job and make Bronze proud.
Just think of me even though Bronze isn't very much older than me, think of me as a younger version before I got the awesome beard.
That's right. Have you seen? He's posted. I think it's in one of the thumbnails. There's a young picture of Bronze with no beard.
Oh, where I thought he was a security guard at a party.
He's holding up a comic, like he's sitting on a chair holding up a comic, and you're like, who is that guy?
He looks like a bouncer in that picture.
Who's that handsome young fella? All right. Well, I don't want to keep people waiting too long. So our main topic, we'll sashay from Superman into Superman. We're going to talk about characters. Are they OP? Have they been OP? Are the ways that they've nerfed them or the ways that they've made them more palatable good, bad? So we'll talk a little bit about Superman. Since Superman is your favorite character, I'll let you lead off here a little bit. He's the OG. I did read that over a 8-year survey, Superman was picked as the most OP superhero of all time.
And again, as much as I love him, I can agree with that. There have been times where he had so many powers. It's ridiculous. And it's like, who like, where's the stakes? Where's the
Well, yeah, like in
stakes?
the golden age, like he had a new power like every other issue.
Mhm.
It seems like, and like I think I was watching something on Chris Comic Tropes channel. He's talking about like where he had like a he had his tiny versions of himself that flew out his finger or something, and just crazy stuff, right?
I think at one point he could erase people's minds, like erase their memories.
Well, he could do that with the kiss, right? I mean, the movie.
That's true. It's true.
It's just,
You know,
boy, I hope he ever doesn't have to use that on Lex Luthor or something.
I know, right? This is a character though that if you've ever gotten a reprint of Action Comics #1, this was a character that could jump really far. He couldn't fly. Yeah, he was bulletproof and he was pretty fast, like literally
Right,
faster than a locomotive. That didn't mean blink and you miss it. Just
right. Not
meant
like the Flash
he was
fast. Yeah,
exactly. And throughout the years, it's like, well, let's make it to where he can erase people's minds, where he can move faster than people can blink. He can his thought process is faster than any supercomputer on the planet. Like they gave him a lot of stuff, and at one point it was like, who you're going to tell me that Lex is going to be the person that stops this dude?
right.
Like I get that, but then I can't remember. Like I said, I don't remember everything about Superman. I don't remember when exactly Kryptonite was introduced into the storyline.
It's boy, I picked up a collection with oh uh anyway, a Golden Age collection.
Mhm.
Can't remember. I'm sorry, can't remember your name right now off the top of my head. I'm terrible. It's been a long day. But anyway, picked up a Golden Age collection and it had the first issue with Kryptonite. I think it was like Action 96, 95. Was it, or maybe it was even earlier than that, maybe 68. But because it had the wrong cover, wrong interior or something when we got it. But yeah, it was pretty early on that they came out with Kryptonite.
Yeah, but then you got, well, so this all powerful being can be defeated by a rock. It's like, okay. And then it was varying degrees of where the kryptonite had to be before it actually hurt him. Did it have to be touching him? Did it have to be on the same street? Like what vicinity
How far away, right? Yeah.
Yeah, how far away does it have to be? And it feels like people got over that because soon after that, villains didn't really use kryptonite all that often, or as often as
Right.
you should. Like if you knew that there was something to take this dude down, that'd be the first thing I would own. But then
Right.
and Chad Cave, you're absolutely right.
Right.
Absolutely right. He has.
Batman did take it to him.
Yes, you're absolutely right. But you
Hey, Ozzy.
then they tell you, well, kryptonite it's at first wasn't harmful to humans, but then later on you learn like there's a storyline where Lex has been wearing a kryptonite ring.
And it gives him cancer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically loses the hand.
The radiation from the kryptonite, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that like they had some interesting ways. I mean, Superman to me, growing up, I thought he was like just ridiculously overpowered. And then because I was such a Marvel zombie back in the day, I didn't really give Superman too much of a chance. And then when we did Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then we had Legends later on with John Byrne and the Man of Steel miniseries, I started reading a lot more Superman. I was like, oh, this guy's vulnerable to magic. Like any kind of magical weapon will mess him up. Any kind of magical character, anybody imbued with magic will mess him up. He's not immune to mind control. Then you got the kryptonite thing. So I'm like, oh, he's actually a lot more balanced than I thought he was originally. So,
but there are certain storylines where you're like, this guy has the Batman utility belt of power sometimes.
right. And like you said, it depends. Is he OP? Sometimes it depends on who's writing him, right?
Yep.
So, and we were discussing off air, like one of my favorite storylines where they kind of showed his weaknesses was the what was the name of that one? Well, I could tell you the whole story, but I can't think of the name of it.
It was Superman's Sacrifice.
Superman Sacrifice. So Superman becomes mind controlled by Maxwell Lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you first start reading the story, Superman believes that Lois has been killed, that Darkseid is responsible, and Darkseid is here on Earth, attacking Earth, and is killing people left and right. And Superman is going to take on Darkseid, and he's just no holds barred, just beating the snot out of Darkseid. And at the end of the issue, it pans back and shows what's really going on. And it's Batman in his suit of armor with his kryptonite and everything else, and Superman is beating the snot out of Batman. And then you parlay into Wonder Woman showing up on the scene, and she's got all of her magical stuff. And man, does she mess him up. At one point, she takes her tiara off and she flattens it out into a boomerang and throws it and slits his throat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, it was a really good story.
Yeah, it's part of the Countdown to Infinite Crisis, is what it says on the header here.
Yeah, Comic Book History is asking, what's this in? Can you show that trade paperback one more time?
Here, let me do this real fast. Let me drop this. I'll swing over here, make this bigger.
So Superman Sacrifice, and that ran through Superman Action Comics and Adventures of Superman, I think. Or there's 3 different titles at that time that it was running through.
Let's see if it
had originally, I believe it had Michael Turner covers on a lot of them.
Yeah, this was written by Greg Rucka, Mark Verheiden, and Gail Simone.
Okay. Yeah.
So pretty stacked writing cast on it, but
yeah, really good story. Yeah. And Max, we were talking about that on the, we don't.
Well,
I guess no spoilers, but like if you haven't read it, it's got a pretty dramatic ending with Wonder Woman, and people were not very happy with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think I've kind of grouped a lot of the characters into the subcategories. So I kind of did the Supermen characters, and we got a lot of the same type of characters, same kind of power set that copied in a sense Superman kind of going on. So we had Superman. Then who do we have next? Sentry. All right, we got Sentry. Marvel's version of Superman. Originally, so I can't say that I'm completely up on all of the Sentry stuff that's been written. I read the original miniseries, and I read some of his first appearances in his first stuff in New Avengers and everything. But originally, he had this little robot named Clock that would hang out with him, and Clock knew the secret that nobody else knew, and Clock told them that for every life the Sentry saves, the Void has to take one. So he would go out as the Void and kill somebody. So every time that the Sentry would go out and save a busload of children, the Void was going out and killing that many people.
I mean, that could be a good way to put it. Yeah,
right.
I don't know too terribly much about this character. I know that he was in Siege, the Asgardian storyline. I know he was in that.
Yeah, and that's a pretty dramatic ending to the god Ares in it.
Yeah, and from some of the cartoons he's made appearances in, things like that, I know that the Void part of him is, think of it just like that. As super as he is as a hero, he's that much worse as the Void.
Yeah. I think at the end of Siege, with all the telepaths, they were able to separate the two personalities, kind of like we did with Hulk way back in the day. We had, Banner in control of the Hulk kind of thing. Emus.
Yeah, like to be completely honest about things, like when it comes to Marvel, I do have Marvel stuff that I read.
Right.
But if there's anything newer that's been added, I think the newest thing from Marvel that I've read was the Predator versus Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard good.
I've read.
I picked up number 1 of that. I have not got a chance to read it yet, but it looks really good.
Oh, the fact that it's not red band, the fact that it doesn't say mature audiences only or anything on it is
shocking, huh?
Very shocking. Very shocking. But yeah,
so there's
cool.
There's Sentry. I mean, if you guys have watched the Thunderbolts movie or the new Avengers movie, spoiler alert there if you haven't been, if you've been under a rock, it's actually called New Avengers now. So there is our buddy Bob. Yeah, surprisingly good. There we go.
And I've always mixed this dude up with Hyperion.
Hyperion is part of basically the Squadron Supreme, which is basically the Justice League.
Yeah,
it was Marvel taking a swipe at the Justice League.
Yeah, it took me a while when this guy I first read about him. I was like, Hyperion, but he has an S. They're like, no, that's different.
You're correct. Comic book history. Marvel Superman is Hyperion. Sentry is. They kind of tried to label him as originally. They had that whole. He was forgotten. We lost the sketches in the drawer. We just found them and everything. And we came up with this character a long time ago. And then that was this whole deal of that played into the forgotten because he had to be forgotten by everyone because his power level was too great and that the evil that he contained was too great. There's a great video on Comic Tropes channel about the whole Sentry thing, and it's awesome. So check it out. But I won't try to claim to go into that kind of depth on our show tonight. But no, and I thought about the guy I got the collection from. It was Ryan from Automatic Comics. We got the Golden Age collection together. Sorry, Ryan.
Now this next one,
Wolverine Predator, not so much. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't checked that one out, but Predator versus Spider-Man, pretty dang good.
So this next one, what do you got to say about this next one?
I don't know who this is. I bet it might just be a costume thing.
Mr. Majestic. It is from Jim Lee's Wildstorm character. I can't claim to know all of his origin story or anything. I do know he's very much a Superman clone, though. Same with Supreme. Is it the other one? Rob Liefeld's character.
Yes. Huh.
Scenes where they're in the void space where they're traveling through different times in Bob's life and attacked by the sign spinning Bob in a chicken suit. Yeah. Getting their asses handed to. And Bob is screaming, I was on mess. That was great. Yes. That's great. Yeah, so Majestic, Wildstorm's version of Superman. Then we had Supreme from Rob Liefeld, which I guess we had later on. We had Alan Moore writing Supreme. And I guess that was like really good. I've never had a chance to read that, but I guess it's really, really well done. So I did not include Supreme in the pictures, but he's also another Image version of Superman. And I mean, if you're a comic company out there worth your salt, you're probably going to have some kind of a take on Superman. We had Prime. Was that character from
it's Prime time.
Prime was kind of a Shazam Superman because he's the little kid who could get covered with the ectoplasm and turn into Prime, right? Yeah. So.
Such a great cartoon when I was a kid. Yeah, I've never actually heard of this dude.
Yeah, Mr. Majestic. You have to look him up now.
Yep. Add him to the list.
All right, who we got on? Who's next on the list?
So next one I do know a little bit about.
Oh yeah, a little bit about this guy, right?
Look, I'm not going to say that if you've never read Invincible, you should read Invincible, but I'm going to say if you've never read Invincible, you should read Invincible.
If you don't want to read Invincible, you should watch Invincible.
You should, or yes, you could even do that. You could even do that because the series is actually pretty close to the
pretty
books.
Faithful to the Comics source material. A little bit switched around in order, some of the stuff, but
and they kind of speed things up too.
yeah. Superman.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to disagree with you at all. I believe that too. But Omni-Man's a dope character.
Omni-Man doesn't have all the moral stuff either, though. So
no,
yeah.
he
fights
is,
dirty.
yeah. This series as a whole, I was very hesitant because I kept hearing how great it was, right?
Mhm.
And on a whim, I bought a $10 volume 1, and I got probably 2 issues in, and I was like, okay, I get the hype behind this book. Now, Omni-Man's not even the most OP character in that universe. He's very powerful. Don't get me wrong.
We got another character you requested specifically later on in the show.
Yeah. But this is basically Superman without the morals. Think Homelander, but Homelander would get tossed by this dude.
Yeah, Homelander doesn't have the emotional stability. This guy is like cold, calculating. I mean, and later on, like not such a terrible character, but he's just trying to do. I guess that sounds almost like a little bit like the people from Germany back in the 40s. He's just trying to do what his order, follow his orders. But you know. What we say? It's a lot of who would win, Omni-Man, Homelander, or Superman. I think Superman would easily beat the two of them. I think Homelander is probably the weakest one out of those three because of his psychological weaknesses. I felt Thor versus Supes is closer than depicted. I think I missed something there. I also like to see Superman Prime versus Rune King Thor. Okay. Again, the whole magical weakness. So Thor's hammer is magical. If he can connect with Mjolnir to Superman, that's going to do some serious damage. Only going off the show. Okay, yeah. Are you going to talk about Archie Sonic? I don't know that we have. I don't know. Well, we do have a speedster in here. We could talk about Sonic with the speedster later on. I think, are we talking about Sonic the Hedgehog? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. The thing with Omni-Man is his weakness to me is because he's on Earth for so long, he ends up getting like growing human emotions.
Right. Yeah.
That's, I don't know. Because Viltrumites against Viltrumites, like there's no, hey, I'm gonna punch you. There's nothing. It's if I felt like gutting you, they could. And
right.
The guy that breaks this dude, like little spoilers for this series if you ever read it, because it happens later on. He gets his back broken by another Viltrumite that he had disemboweled that's just holding his intestines in place. Like that's how tough Viltrumites are.
Right.
It's like Kryptonians like on 12 for some of these dudes.
Yeah, they're pretty gnarly. Like you're missing half their face and they're still fighting.
Yeah. They fighting the sun. Like they're just Viltrumites as a whole to me are very OP.
Yeah. Again, amazing series. Highly recommend watching the Prime show or reading it. Stephen Yeun is the
voice of Invincible.
Voice is Invincible. And then they just had the rematch with him with the voice of Negan, the guy who took him out in Walking Dead.
Oh,
so that was pretty good.
Ooh.
That was so good. So good.
Well, yeah.
I'm so lonely.
Yes.
Yes. The guy that he's fighting is so bad, so mean that nobody will hang out with him. So he keeps whispering in his ear, "I'm so lonely."
Yes. Yeah, Chad Cave. I think that was Thrag that fought Battle Beast for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
this show is great for sure.
it really is.
All right, who we got? Who's on deck next?
Next one is another one that I don't know too terribly much about, but John
Superboy?
Kent. Is it John Kent Superboy? Or
That's just
Superman?
Superboy. That's just
Okay,
Superboy.
that's a Superboy. Okay.
Yeah, so it's Kal-El. We got a little crypto there with him. But I kind of wanted to include, we got the whole idea of the, so we're going to bring up Invincible in a little bit. And so we got, the Superman family kind of thing going on. So we got Superboy, we've got Supergirl. Does Supergirl have the same weaknesses as Kal-El? I mean, the magic and the kryptonite and all, I would assume, right?
Yeah, I think so, but I also, for some reason, unless it was just a fever dream, I remember there being a Supergirl who was a shapeshifter.
There was a different Supergirl that was not an actual Kryptonian. She was some sort of, I think Lex somehow was a part of creating her. But that's a different. And then we had the return of Kara in the Batman Superman series with art by Michael Turner. So yeah. LexCorp, yep, created one. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, this is supposed to have more potential than Superman. Okay.
Because she was actually raised on that chunk of what was left of, was it Krypton, but she was from Kandor.
Well, Kandor is the bottle city, right?
That's the bottle city.
So there was a chunk of it from outside of the stuff that went in the bottle. She was raised in that.
She had grown up around
exposed to kryptonite, then basically.
Yeah.
Built up a kind of an immunity to it, maybe.
Could be. All I remember is that very awesome Helen Slater movie that nobody else talks about anymore.
All right, so who we got next? Speaking of Supergirl, we got Supergirl next. Is that right?
I think we actually have. I'm guessing this was going to be for Invincible.
Oh, because we were talking about Superboy, so we got Invincible because he's the son of Omni-Man.
Yes.
So, because you were like, we definitely got to talk about Invincible, and I was like, if we're talking about OP characters, and we'll talk about her later on, but
yeah. Here's the thing about. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, thank you, Chad Cave. Appreciate you.
Thank you for being here, Chad. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah. So the thing about Mark, because I hear this a lot when it comes to him, he's like, man, Invincible's kind of OP too. Invincible gets his butt kicked in this series more than I think any hero does.
Right.
So for me personally, I would say his powers are kind of balanced. Like he can eventually beat someone, but he's going to have broken hands, broken arms, broken legs, all kinds of stuff to do that. And that's the distance he'll go too. It's that human side of him that wants to protect, trying to fight with that Viltrumite anger that a lot of those Viltrumites have. Mark is, I'm not going to say the weakest of the Viltrumites, but I definitely wouldn't say the strongest either.
Right.
But it's almost like that callback to Superman. This dude's an alien, but he was raised by loving parents that instilled values in him.
Right.
Mark,
and he cares about he cares about the innocent. In that big battle with Omni-Man where he's holding Mark's face through the train and he's just seeing all the people being destroyed against his body. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. Just shatters him like mentally, right? So
Yes, but when people tell me that they think Invincible's OP, I'm like, read the stories because you haven't seen part of what he's been through.
Yeah, I think part of you and I talked about like a little bit, like I like the idea of having kind of like a defined power set or like kind of knowing what the limits of the character I'm reading about. And through the course of Invincible, you see him like where he's increasing his strength. With Cecil, they're training him and stuff and trying to make him stronger so he can take on the Viltrumites when they show up. And you kind of get the sense of like where he's at, and you can kind of like gauge how much of a beating he's gonna take, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so like coming up with a lot of other things we'll say, but like I really like to have an idea of what are the limits so that
Mhm.
I can kind of go, oh no, that kind of thing, right? This is bad, whereas like sometimes you're like, I don't know, is this bad?
Yeah. Like there's certain villains they throw in there that are kind of like softball pitches towards them. But when we get to like the bigger threats, the threats actually feel like threats. It's
Right.
not Mark's just gonna win in like 10 seconds or anything. They actually feel like threats. And Mark
There are
just
several times where he pulls it out by the skin of his teeth, or he didn't win because of him. He won because someone else was willing to make the ultimate sacrifice and die, so he had a little bit of time to recover, that kind of thing. So it's that series is so dramatic. Like I hate Rexplode at the beginning, and by the time the Invincible War happens, I'm like almost crying for Rexplode. I'm like, no.
comic book history. That's a good way to put it.
Absolutely,
I think that's what sets him apart. That's to me, it kind of like you could call Invincible a Superman clone, but let's be real. There's so many characters that are. This to me is like the closest to an actual Superman clone that we were going to get from a different company, because it's a hero. He's got the values instilled with him. Yet, yes, his father ends up being who he is, but the way he was raised shaped him as a person, and it turned out to be a good person.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. No, I love that. Like, again, can't say enough good things about Invincible.
yeah.
All right. So who we got next?
The next one we got is
Supergirl. All right. I love that picture, by the way. That Adam Hughes. Oh. I remember that issue coming out. That's a Legion of Superheroes issue. So if you guys ever see that issue, buy it because it's worth hundreds of dollars. But yeah, amazing issue. But yeah, so we were talking about like we feel like she has maybe some immunity to kryptonite. If anybody else knows, or if you're watching on the rewind, feel free to put it in the comments. We'd love to hear your take on what we're saying or how you feel about these characters. So please feel free to chime in anything that you feel you need to correct us on, or let us know your feelings about these guys. So yeah, besides being gorgeous, so who was it that was saying that they felt that she had a little more potential?
That was
that Comic History?
I believe that was.
Okay. Oh no, Rook Piece.
Oh, Rook.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got it.
Gotcha.
I see it now. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
And I think
such a classic costume too. Like,
yeah.
That costume really, well, it's changed a little bit. It's a little higher on the crop top, but I mean,
I remember the cape being a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Cape was shorter, but this is a character that I don't have a whole lot of comics that I've read that are mainly her. She's more of a supporting character in the comics that I got. But it feels like she's the older cousin of Superman, and because she spent more time not on Earth, it does feel at times she is a little bit stronger than him.
Gotcha. Brooke says in Superman Batman from the post-crisis, so that would be the one with the Michael Turner one, since she had more potential to be stronger than Clark, but never really followed up on that. Random comment. Didn't okay. I did not include Power Girl in this, but Power Girl should also be on that. She's a cousin, right, of Superman. So
I always thought she was a clone of Supergirl too.
No, she's I believe a cousin. I believe she's Kryptonian as well, but she's never had the house symbol or anything. They say that's why she always has the big circle, the big open area that shows all the cleavage. Is because she doesn't feel like she has an identity as a Kryptonian. So from an alternate universe. Okay.
Yeah, like outside of seeing Power Girl in cartoons like Justice League Unlimited and stuff like that, that's another character that I don't know a whole lot about.
I've
So-
seen that. Have you seen that? There's a Adam Hughes cartoon where it's Power Girl and Supergirl, and Power Girl's just gushing about like, oh my gosh, you have it all, you know. And Supergirl's like standing there looking at her own chest and looking at
Yeah, that I've seen. That I've seen.
It's hilarious. But yeah, no, love this character. Just similar. I wanted to kind of explore and just show like we got this whole Superman family of characters that are like same kind of power set. And then we've had all these other companies that have kind of tried to copy or come up with something similar, and then we've all different ways of nerfing those powers and trying to make it so that they face challenges when they're trying to win in battle. So this is always interesting. Eyes are up here, boys. That's right. That's right. All right. So then what do we got?
Then we got.
Are we moving to? Oh, okay. Now we're moving to another whole subset. So this, what do we call this one? This was like the reality warpers.
Yes, I think so.
Yes, the people that have the ability to warp reality, and how overpowered that can be.
See, I've always had. There's always been something about that to me. Like, if you can warp reality, what real challenge do you have?
Right.
Like somebody's got to really catch you off guard for there to be anything.
And even if they catch you off guard, right? You can just. I mean, we have not seen that kind of Scarlet Witch though in. Really, even in Multiverse of Madness, she doesn't have that kind of power level.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just using the hex bolts and really kind of using her hex power to fly, levitate, but we're not really seeing like that reality warping in any of the.
That's true.
The MCU stuff.
I don't know if they will. So don't. This is purely speculation. This is something that I think would be interesting if they did. What if mutants had been there the whole time and they do a reverse kind of House of M where she brings the mutants back? Because I don't believe Scarlet Witch is dead in the movies. I don't believe that. I think we're going to find out by some, kind of like how Peter Parker was in Iron Man 2, how they pulled that out. We're going to find out that before the events of all the stuff that happened to her before Vision and Scarlet Witch, all that stuff, that she no more mutants, and everybody just forgot about the mutants, and they're going to use her to bring them back.
I speculated on that. Yeah, kind of. That's going to be the whole thing, the case, because she's a mutant, right?
Mm-hmm. That we retconned.
But we never really talked about that. Yeah. Her and Quicksilver.
Mm-hmm.
Were in the MCU. I mean, they kind of alluded like when Ms. Marvel was the first one. They were like, they played the X-Men tune. We're like, oh, you're a mutant, and it's like, yeah, but we had Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver already.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hoping that if they do bring her back, if my theory is correct, and they bring her back, yes, I would like for them to do that. OP can wipe entire species out of existence.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. They almost made us think that she was doing that reality warping when she brought her brother back, but it was the other actor who played Quicksilver from the X-Men series.
Yeah,
the Flash at the end of the Multiverse of Madness was her going to. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Yeah. Although we did have like kind of they showed kind of a body in Agatha, but that was kind of also Agatha was kind of crazy at that point. So I don't know.
Ralph.
So yeah, so the reality warping power, like I was kind of a fan of Scarlet Witch when it was just kind of her hex bolts and all the other things like she uses in the MCU when she was in Avengers, and then she just got so OP. And then the only way they could really rein it in was kind of make it like she'd lost her mind, and since then, like, how is she now like not nearly as powerful?
That's true. And one of the things about
Yeah,
about
Ralph Boner. That's right. That was the
yeah,
name of the
wow.
the Quicksilver.
One of the things about Marvel that doesn't really irritate me, but it's kind of weird to me is how many all of a sudden Omega level mutants they have.
Oh, right. Like Namor's now an Omega level mutant. Did you know that?
No,
Namor
but
can control water. Like Magneto can control metal. Namor can control water.
I mean, technically isn't Scarlet Witch Omega level 2?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that would make sense. Could see Professor X putting mental blocks in place like he did with Jean. Okay, yeah, that would work. Yep. But then she's the potential loose cannon on your team that's going to totally destroy everybody. That Avengers Disassembled, that was like everybody was dying because she was going crazy, and yeah.
Mr. Nimbus controls the police. I get that reference.
All right, who we got next?
Next up,
reality warpers.
We got another one that Franklin Richards.
To me, my Galactus. He brought Galactus back from the dead in a future storyline. Just by reaching his hand out.
Again, this is another one where what are the stakes for this kid? And I feel like every time I see him somewhere, he's a different age, and then they de-age him, and then they re-age him, and they de-age him for certain
Right.
stories.
And he's gone from being a blonde to now he's got black hair. I mean, he was a little blonde kid, but
yeah, I don't know the whole, because there's another person on this list I feel the same way about. If you can shape reality, what is like what do
are
you
the
have
stakes,
to
right?
lose? Yeah,
when the first time we see adult Franklin is in Days of Future Past, and a Sentinel takes him out, just throws a spear through him, and he's dead. That's like, because he's Rachel's boyfriend, or Rachel's husband in Days of Future Past. I believe it's Rachel's he's somebody's husband. I can't remember who. But anyway, he gets killed right away.
I see that to me that feels weird.
Yeah, well, it was before they decided that he was this Omega level mutant that could reshape galaxies and everything. This is back in the late 1970s, early 1980s. Oh, okay. Chris Claremont was writing him. He's like, yeah, obviously he's going to be a mutant, or he's going to be a enhanced human at some point because he's a child of one of the child of Reed and Sue. But they hadn't defined his character as being so powerful yet. They hadn't defined, where we did with Onslaught, where all the heroes were born, where they all sacrificed themselves to defeat Onslaught. And then Franklin just casually puts everybody in a little pocket universe in his bedroom, in his toy box, and keeps everybody there until he decides to bring the universe back. So
the MacGuffin should have been this character's name.
Right. He has black hair because he went emo after finding out he's not a mutant yet. Somebody told me that he at some point that he was a mutant, and then Xavier was checking him out or something, and he's like, there's this shock thing that he's not setting off these tests, and they're like, you've somehow made yourself not a mutant anymore. So see, the Thing age through time is a really good storyline. Thing ages 52 times slower. Oh, wow. I'll have to read that one. That's cool.
Yeah,
Fantastic Four 605. Okay.
I've always wondered too, because Jenna brought this up to me once. Would he still have these powers if the Fantastic Four were never hit with cosmic rays?
No, I don't think so. I think that was probably what would kick off the mutant gene in his body is the fact that, they were all mutated themselves, right? So I see all these, like I said, I'm the first to admit that I haven't read everything and know everything. I saw somebody, there was some big cosmic storyline where the Thing was trying to help defeat this huge cosmic threat, and he knew he had to get more powerful, and so he went off with like the Guardians of the Galaxy, and when he comes back, instead of the orange rock, he's covered in infinity gem, and he's like Infinity Thing.
Wow.
I was like, wow, that sounds cool. Dan Slott did not want to share his character with Hickman, so he made him not a mutant. Okay. Also, Franklin Galactus back from the dead, and he became a creator of worlds, right? Yep. That's what that whole "to me, my Galactus" thing is from. This Galactus's skull there on the ground, and he's like just reforms Galactus and brings him back to life.
Well, my question for characters like this is, you're telling me that there's even more powerful people than this dude, like the one above. What is the Marvel
one above all? Yeah,
above all.
And I would just saw another video. Cool things, video things that you'll see snippets. There's something coming up in the new Hulk that there's a character called the One Below All, who's like a corrupted version of the one above all. I was like, ooh, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, I've read a little bit of the Hickman run of Fantastic Four. Again, this was more of a cartoon that I watched as a kid, was Fantastic Four. Like, I do have some Fantastic Four books, but not like a whole lot. Not as much as I have some other Marvel characters like Deadpool and things like that. But yeah,
powerful character for sure. Like the reality warping characters are just like out there. It's like you said, like how do you, like I was saying, I like to have my characters defined, or to know what kind of a threat we're facing, and it's just like,
well, apparently for him, his threshold is a metal spear out of nowhere.
Can't wait for the one in the middle of all. His name is the Fireman.
Oh, that's so good.
That's a callback to his show. You'll have to watch that on his channel.
Goodness. Hilarious.
All right, okay, who's our next character?
Yeah, this next one. So I recently got the Authority book 1.
Okay.
So I don't know too terribly much about this character.
So you're going to be reading Jenny Sparks.
Okay.
The character. There's a spirit of a century, a Jenny for every century. And so this is Jenny Quantum. So she's for the 2000s. Jenny Sparks is for the 1900s.
Okay.
So when you first start reading, you'll be reading about Jenny Sparks.
Okay.
But so Jenny Quantum, another reality warper, and I don't know a lot about her. I just know that she is another character that has the power to warp reality, and Authority goes way out there with some crazy stuff. So it'll be interesting to see, how that all gets woven in with James Gunn, because we're going to be getting the mechanic in the Superman movie. So that'll be pretty cool.
Well, that's definitely an interesting character. Like, I'm halfway through the Authority. I was just like, maybe I didn't come across this character just yet. But
and that was that you talked a little bit about the Superman story. That's like your wife's favorite.
Superman versus the Elite.
The Elite, and the Elite are basically supposed to be the Authority. It's a representative of the Authority, because they're like these heroes that don't have the morals, that don't have the Golden Age and Silver Age characters here that care about life and protecting the public. They just care about accomplishing their goals and doing what they need to do to get those goals done. And so, yeah, you'll see that a little bit in the Authority. I mean, it's interesting. I wouldn't want to live in that universe, because unless I'm one of those guys, bad things are going to happen.
Now, am I right? Because I heard this, and I'm not sure. Was the Authority created to take over from when the boys was lost from Wildstorm. Was Wildstorm the one that had the boys first?
Yeah, Wildstorm had the boys first, and then they let it go to
Dynamite.
Dynamite, right? Yeah.
And was this like a?
Because I believe that when Wildstorm split from Image, he had the right to take his creator of the boys. I think of his name.
Garth Ennis.
Garth Ennis had the right to take his characters with him or leave them with Image. He decided he wanted to go and do his, because I think DC said that they were too much they didn't want that.
Because I was always told that the Authority was basically created kind of like to be a substitute for After.
I think they were created before they split off. They were still part of Image when they were first created. So we have and those are some really good characters too. I mean, you got Apollo. I didn't even include Apollo. Apollo's another Superman character. But again, that kind of takes on that whole thing of everybody is always saying, there was always that joke, Batman and Superman,
Mm-hmm.
And you got Apollo and Midnighter. They're a couple in that series. So
and both are awesome characters, by the way. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying anything. Midnighter is freaking awesome, and so is Apollo. They're great characters. I was not saying anything about. I'm just saying that's a different take, right? I mean, yeah, I don't have anything against that. Hey, Red Chair.
The part of Bronze is being played by Jay.
What's that?
The part of Bronze is being played by Jay.
Yes, the part of Bronze is being played by Jay tonight. Bronze is celebrating his anniversary with his wife, so we're just. Yeah, Apollo could be in the Superman power set conversation for sure. Yeah. Very cool characters. Midnighter is awesome too. I mean, great Batman character.
Yeah, 100%. So next one we got. Once you said who it was, I know of the character. This is another character I'm not overly familiar with though. X-Man.
X-Man. I mean, the TV show. They had the X-Men TV show. Same character.
Oh. Okay.
So this is, no, because in the TV show he's the son of Charles Xavier. This X-Men.
Legion.
What's that?
Legion.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was Legion TV show. I'm sorry. Okay. Legion is basically like X-Men though.
Okay.
Yeah, great show. By the way, yeah. So X-Man though is basically Nathaniel Summers if he didn't get infected with the techno-organic virus, and he's like an Omega level mutant, reality warping character, just insane power set. And again, it's like one of those how is this? What is a threat to him? And if it's a threat to him, then does he need any other characters around him? I mean, yeah. So yeah, he's an alternate reality or alternate timeline, non-infected Nathaniel Summers. The true Marvel Jesus. That's true. The true Marvel Jesus.
Wow. That's
there was Travis's claim sale last night. We had Obi-Wan Kenobi comic popped up, and he's like, "This is a great cover. It's an incredible likeness." And somebody goes, Space Jesus.
Little side story. Do you know how many of my Facebook friends, when that picture was going around, that I had to tell them, y'all, that's Ewan McGregor. That's not who you think that is. That's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right. They
were like, praise his name. I was like, well, I mean, you could, but it's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. So another reality warping, again, I don't know how and hats off to people for making storylines that are interesting and can make these characters seem like there's things at stake. But like you and I were saying, it's really hard to imagine something that is threatening to them, right?
True. All right. And next dude, again, you had to tell me this guy's name. I'm not familiar with him either.
Tim Hunter, Books of Magic. So they say he is basically the son of the Fantastic Four character.
Franklin
Richards of the DC universe, but with magic. He can do or change anything with magic. He kind of looks like Harry Potter, but it's great series. Amazing stuff. But again, another reality warping. What if Harry Potter was a librarian? There you go.
What's the name of the series again?
Books of Magic.
Put
It's
that
a
on
Vertigo title. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, and so that is Tim Hunter, and yeah, I just kind of lumped him in. I was doing a little research for the list. And I'm like, okay, when they're lumping him in with the reality warping guys, we'll go ahead and throw him on the screen. But so yeah, if you're a fan of Tim Hunter, shout it out in the comments later.
Yeah, let us know. And if you got any other people that you think are OP'd and the balanced ones, if there's characters that a lot of people say they're OP and you think they're pretty balanced in their power set, throw it in the chat. Let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
who we got coming up next?
This next one, I don't think there's too many people that could say this dude's balanced.
So this is going to our next group of characters. This is our Men of the Atom kind of characters. These are all, I think, kind of, I would say the prototype for these guys is going to be coming up later on. He was originally a Golden Age character. That's going to be Captain Atom. But in fact, Dr. Manhattan is based off of he's supposed to be. The Watchmen are that group of characters, the Charlton characters, but they're Warren Ellis's version of the Charlton characters, so that he could write a story about them, but not actually be using the Charlton characters. So that is Dr. Manhattan is Captain Atom. So yeah, so you got these characters that can affect things on an atomic level.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, how are you going to say that this guy? I mean, how do you balance him? I mean, the only thing they kind of balance him is he doesn't really seem to care anymore. He's so separated from humanity, right?
Yeah.
So, although, have you seen the second season of the Watchmen television show for HBO?
No.
So they did second season. I think it's second season. Anyway, there's Dr. Manhattan shows up.
This is one of those where the movie.
I'm sorry, did I say Alan? I say Warren Ellis. I'm sorry, I meant Alan Moore.
The movie and the little mini series of Rorschach, and maybe the first 2 issues of the actual book, is my knowledge of the character. I just know from what I've seen and what the little that I have read, this dude is take you out with a thought.
Yeah.
This dude is break you down to mush and less.
Yeah, absolutely. Or reassemble himself from nothing, right? I mean, that's
yeah. So from things I've read, this dude, I don't see how you take this dude out. Other than him,
I like what Derpa said there. His hold on humanity is his true weakness.
This feels like a dude that you win because he just wants to give up.
Yeah, or he just doesn't care anymore. He just want to be there.
Care. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So Dr. Manhattan, incredibly overpowered in my thought process. If anybody wants to argue that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, this
one,
I
corrected Bigby. Write that date down in the diary. That's right. That's all right. It's late. It's been a long day. I think I corrected Travis last night. He said something like, what did he say? Oh, it was he said Guy Gardner, the Flash. I was like, no.
Real quick before I move to the next one, I just want to say, y'all give it up for Bigby. This is like his first time, it feels like, running the show. So
running Best Coast. This is my first time being in the driver's seat. So thank you, Dick.
Doing a great job, man. Plus,
I just want to make sure everybody's entertained and have fun talking. And that's, the best thing about doing these kind of shows is it's really getting comfortable and just chatting with your co-host and chatting with the chat and just feeling like you're hanging with a group of friends. So I really appreciate everybody being in the chat and talking with us, and Jay being here to hold my hand.
100%, man. 100%. Like it's one of those things where I've been doing this for a long time for work and now for, for fun. And it's the same thing every time. You still get the nerves. I still get the nerves every time I hit live, every time I'm up on camera. But, after a while, you get into it and you got awesome topics to talk about. I'm learning some stuff. I've written some stuff down, some characters that I'm going to check out later.
That's cool. That's even more fun. Like that's kind of the hope. A lot of times is that like the hope of the show is to inspire people to do art, to read books, to find things that are interesting that they want to explore. So that's cool.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Son of Chrome. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Thanks so much. And like I said, you guys make sure you check out Crom. He's got some amazing stuff. He's got a Captain America series he's been doing. He's doing a great show on Friday nights called Monsters at Midnight, which actually airs at midnight Eastern time. And it's just all about monsters and mythos and people's favorite books and movies and stories that they have, experiences that they've had, paranormal stuff. It's just really fun. So
nice. Well,
doing art right now. Thanks, Comics Limited. We like you doing art. Nice. Thanks, Derpa. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, who we got next? Who's our next character?
Firestorm.
Oh, another Man of the Atom. Firestorm. There's been a couple Firestorms now.
I first learned about this dude from the Arrowverse, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
I might have read something with him in it and just not realized it, but I learned more about this dude. I was like, what is the word they use when he changes things? Because he does something that they call it transmutation or
transmography.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Okay.
I thought the first time he did that, I was like, so this dude can fly and do that, and then he can change, like make stuff like that.
He can change stuff on a molecular level or an atomic level, right?
Awesome. Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy. Weaknesses or draw, I think that one of the things, he's or strengths, like he's two different people, right? In all iterations, he's been like two different people fused together to make one character. So they have that knowledge base, but they also have that conflicting knowledge base, or they're not always in agreement on things. But yeah, good character. I always get wondered when you kind of you got the two become one to activate the powers. Yeah, so I think it's the original Firestorm unceremoniously dies in like Identity Crisis. Like he is accidentally split open by Shining Knight's sword, and like he's leaking radiation everywhere, and he's like, oh my god, everyone get out of here. He's like, you got to get out of here, and everyone they get teleported out of there just before he goes like thermonuclear, blows up and dies. Like, and that was like, whoa, that's the end of Firestorm. And then there was a new one later on, but I was like, whoa. And nobody really even talked about it. It's like Identity Crisis. He just like, they're fighting this bad guy and he gets accidentally sliced by one of his teammates.
Wow. That was like 5 seconds of fame for Shining Knight there.
Shining Knight's a golden age character. He's been around for a long time.
I know that character because of Justice League Unlimited.
Right.
Him in the cowboy looking version of Vigilante, the one that's got the bandana over his face.
Yeah. I mean, well, and Shining Knight, he's basically kind of got like Excalibur. He's got the sword that can cut through anything. So
yeah.
Accidentally cuts through Firestorm.
That's crazy. So
all right, who we got next?
Captain Atom.
The original, the OG. So this is the guy that everybody's based off of on this list. is Captain Atom. Now DC got the rights to him when they brought the Charlton characters in Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that's when we got the Question, we got Captain Atom, we got gosh, I can't think of all the other characters. Peacemaker, all those guys came in from the Charlton universe. So, but yeah, he's the original, the OG, a guy that the master of the atom. So they used him a lot, but not like to the power set that he has. They used him almost like as a Superman type of character for a while. In fact, he fought Superman in like some of the animated series stuff I watched just recently. I'm like, he's fighting Superman, and I'm like, this is kind of weird, but yeah, another very powerful character. So you've seen him on some stuff?
I've seen him on stuff in some stuff. Sean is actually a fan of this character. He's got some of his comics. Like the majority of what I've seen from him again is the animated movie universe, the couple ones he was in there, and then he was in some of the Justice League as well, the cartoons.
Right.
So seems like a cool character. Also seems the first time I saw him that he was he's not mental wise, but he's unstable because
the way they wrote him, he's kind of like got a military background too. So he's like very like follows orders, like that kind of stuff. In the way they originally wrote him, at least the ones that I've read or seen. So, but yeah,
cool character though.
Yeah. All right.
Scene. So next one, as soon as I saw it, I knew who it was. Like, haven't read anything about it, but I know this character for some reason.
For some reason, yeah, you were a Valiant fan, so you would know a little bit about this guy. Who is this guy?
Solar Man of the Atom.
Originally Dr. Solar, Man of the Atom.
Yeah, this was a character that wasn't in the stuff that I read. I think he was already gone. Like, I didn't read any
stuff was self-contained. Like,
yeah,
because he's part of Unity and everything else, but he was kind of off. I think he did cross over. There's a couple crossover issues with Exo, but I think it's in the Solar title. But yeah,
character though that I've always wanted to read about because it's a Valiant character. Like, I can't remember, is this one of those characters that was Gold Key or something first, or
right? Because Valiant wanted to have some. They created a lot of their own original content, but they wanted to have some basis in history of stuff that had already come out. So that's when they acquired those characters. They acquired Magnus Robot Fighter, Solar Man of the Atom,
Turlock.
Yeah. So Gold Key, yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
But another one of those guys, if you have read the Valiant stuff, his whole origin is nuclear reactor meltdown, blah, 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 gets the powers, is able to basically Dr. Manhattan kind of thing going on. Beautiful artwork by Barry Windsor Smith. Love the artwork in the series. The original graphic novel, if you get it, has a fold out map of the entire city and with the nuclear reactor, and then I think on the other side of it is the city after the reactor goes.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty cool.
I'm gonna have to see if I can find some stuff on this guy, because like I said, I knew he was a Valiant character. I knew he was part of that Gold Key thing, the pack of characters that they had gotten, but I've never actually read anything with him in it.
Jay, I might have to get an address from you. I think I have a Solar trade paperback that I could get you.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, we saw a picture of this next one earlier, but now we're going to talk about her. And that
I think I know who we're talking about. We're talking about Adam Eve, one of my favorite characters from that show. Yeah, so she's got the whole thing, but she's one of those characters that can control things on the atomic level, but she's got the mental blocks in place put there by the scientists so that she cannot affect living material. However, we find out in the show, so we're not spoiling anything yet, We find out that when she is in mortal danger, those blocks come off.
Yep.
And she's able to heal herself, heal others, hurt others.
Yeah. Dude, there's Adam Eve to me is she's definitely OP.
Yeah.
Definitely OP. Like coming back from death. You know.
But the way they portray her, like before, like she's just pew 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 pew. You know, I'm throwing these little pink light things at you, and I'm making little force fields and stuff. I'm like, but then later on other parts, they show her like building entire buildings and stuff for herself, and I'm like, why isn't she using that kind of power in battle? She's just always like throwing these,
or putting people in boxes and stuff.
Right. I'm like, yeah. Nathan Gray was in the list earlier, Trav. He's in the Reality Warpers segment. So he X-Man. Yep.
Yeah. So with Eve, after seeing that, because again, I have up to volume 6 of Invincible, but I have skipped around and read other parts of Invincible.
Right.
So I knew what happened in the series had already happened basically for her in the comics. So then my brain went to, well, if she can do that, how do you stop her? Like, how do you stop this person? Is there a person in the Invincible universe that I haven't met yet?
Well, so if it's mental, right? If somebody has psionic powers or something, right?
Oh, true. Okay.
You could turn her own powers against her.
That's true.
Theoretically.
Man, it's always like regenerative stuff.
We'll talk more about that later because we have some characters on the list you requested specifically because we're like, which a lot of people might not think of them as OP, but we're like, I was like, yeah, that deserves talking about.
Now we're going
to so definitely, I believe a little on the OP side, but I love the character.
She's such a great character, dude. She's such a great character. Now these next couple are ones, again, I know of them. Haven't read too much on them, but have always been interested, just haven't really known where to start. And the first one is, thanks to the 2019 Swamp Thing series that I'm still mad about being canceled, The Phantom Stranger.
Okay, yeah. Phantom Stranger. So now we're going into another group of characters. These are like god tier characters, like that. Yeah, he has on his side something called, it's not the Force, but it's something like that. Somebody in this chat can probably chime in, but there's another basically primeval force of good that he works with that will only allow him to intervene in certain things, but he is a god tier power. So he's just there to witness a lot of times and see things and to kind of like speak, which there's another character coming up, same thing. Like he's in Kingdom Come, and all he can do is really like, I'm only here to watch and to see how things transpire. And it's just like, okay. But yeah, Phantom Stranger. I mean, cool looking character, Golden Age character. Originally not as OP as he is now. I think he kind of grew into being quite OP, but yeah, very cool looking character.
This feels to me that if you mixed Doctor Strange, Dr. Fate, and The Question all together, like the costume and everything kind of gives me that vibe of all those characters just kind of mashed together.
Right? He's kind of got this like a suit going on. Almost has the Eye of Amagato there, the medallion thing going on there. Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. Yeah. But yeah, these god like, and it seems to me like in doing this little bit of research that we did, like there's a lot of characters in the DC universe. Like no disrespect, hats off to making interesting stories with them. Again, where you can make the stakes. I think that's also probably part of the thing where they say I'm not allowed to intervene unless or yeah, So like you've got the character that will come up in a little bit. I keep thinking about him, but
So it's they're kind of like that's their kind of get out of jail free card for things. I can't intervene. So whatever happens in this story is going to happen. If they
right
can't- if
until they
can't
feel like things are getting out of hand, and then I must break my oath, or I have to do,
Gotcha. What a
yeah.
weird oath to have if you always got to break it.
Yeah.
So
So
this,
Venom Stranger, another. Hopefully, we're inspiring people to do a little bit of research on characters and
I'm definitely like, after you sent me the list, I was like, I know of this character, but I know nothing about them.
right.
So there's a bunch you had on this list. I was like, oh, I know this character, but I don't know them. So
Right.
I'm definitely going to be checking some of this stuff out, especially this next one, because this next one from, again, cartoons and things, I hope we get to see them in the new DC universe, and that's the Spectre.
The Spectre. Yeah. So that's one I was referring to. He so in Kingdom Come, he was only there to he's there with the older character. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like witnessing what's happening. But he's also in like a lot of the books, he's the wrath of God. That's his, he's there. He's like the spirit of vengeance almost. They had who was it? Como Comics just had a thing about his top issues you can get for under $50, and one of them was a Bronze Age beginning of a first run of the Spectre, and he's talking about he's like, this is during peak comics code, and they just gave the comics code the middle finger. He's like, the Spectre is melting people into piles of goo. One guy drives off a cliff and he turns into a skeleton as he's flying through the air. It's like the worst. These guys are like bank robbers who killed a bunch of guys in an armored car, and so the Spectres, they're just getting his vengeance on these guys. And he's like, they just gave the comics code the middle finger, and we're like, yep, nope, we're doing what we want to do. He is a badass character, and for a while there, Hal Jordan was the Spectre. If you didn't know that, after he had he went through the whole parallax thing, and he sacrificed himself to reignite the sun in the Final Night storyline, he became the Spectre.
Yeah, this is another one that I hadn't read a whole lot of, but just seeing the character in other media, I'm like, this guy looks so cool. Like,
I know there's a Spectre issue you're really going to want to get, because it's going to be it's the first appearance of Mr. Terrific.
ooh,
yeah, it's in the 90s run of the Spectre. It's the first modern appearance of Mr. Terrific, where he has the leather jacket with the fair play and the big T across his face. There was a Mr. Terrific in the Golden Age, and somebody just highlighted the first Silver Age appearance of that Golden Age character. But when he first appears as the character that he is going to be portrayed in the James Gunn movie, it's in the Spectre.
oh wow, awesome. So this next one, I've read a little bit of, but again,
Okay.
this was.
I'm going to hear what your experience is. I just gave you a bunch on the Spectre. We're going to hear what your experience is on this character.
So this is Sandman.
That is Sandman. And you said that was what? The most badass?
This was the most badass I've seen this character look. Like, don't get me wrong, the character does look cool, but like this, I didn't even know who this was.
Right.
I had to ask Bigby, who is this? He's like, oh, that's Dream of the
Endless.
The Endless. There you go.
That's right. Travis Spectre brought Hal Jordan back to life in Green Arrow after he had died in his series. Spectre brought him back. That's right.
Yeah. This one was one I knew of. This is one of Kyle's favorite comics, was Sandman, next to Turtles, of course.
Right. It's amazing. This is another one of those things now. I don't know if you've heard me say, I hope people can separate the creator from the creation, because there are some great things out there that some people are like, I'm never going to read that again because of X.
True.
Really good, really good material. So, but continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. So we had actually watched the Netflix series first.
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was a mind trip, man.
Yeah, for sure.
But there was one story in particular from Sandman that people told me to read, and it was 24-Hour Diner.
It was which one?
The 24-Hour Diner.
24-Hour Diner. I don't know if I can.
Maybe that's not what the name of the thing is, but it's basically one of the folks goes into a diner and makes people like kill each other, and it's a real crazy story within the Sandman universe.
Okay.
And people are like, oh, this, it's the story is unsettling and all this stuff. And I was like, well, what does that say about me? Because I thought it was a pretty good story. But Dream ended up showing up at the end.
It's meant to. I think that it's meant to be kind of a horror kind of fantasy. Like every genre can be told in that. One of my favorite ones is the Dream of a Thousand Cats. That's a great story. I love that story.
Yeah. Now, this guy to me, when you think of overpowered, I'm like, didn't they trap this guy in it wasn't an hourglass, but they trapped him in something.
It was in a what do you call it? Pentagram made out of salt, right on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he's a magical being able to be caught like that.
Yeah. So, he's been described to me basically the master of dreams.
Yeah. Each character is an aspect of, reality. So dream, death, desire, there's the whole family of the endless. Yeah. And then he has each and then each one of them have all their own servants, right? So you've got he has what's his name? The guy that has the teeth for eyes.
Oh goodness, the something. I know it's called the something, and now I can't remember because Boyd Holbrook played it in the show.
Somebody's gonna get his Corinthian. The Corinthian. Yeah, he's got the Corinthian. He's got Merv Pumpkinhead, Agent of Dream, who's kind of he's got a pumpkin for a head, like Jack's like a jack-o'-lantern, but he's like a James Bond. I mean, there's all these crazy characters, but it's a fascinating universe. But again, crafting that universe with power that big and making it interesting, like they're saying, is there's something to that. But very, very good. In the Netflix, when he had to go to hell. That was so cool.
Yeah. That was really good. And then you got Dead Boy Detectives out of that, and
I love that show. That was a great show.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then tied to this world a little bit. Constantine.
Yeah. And he ties it all together with the DC universe and everything too, right?
So magic.
So we're going, so now we're going to another tier. So we've gone from our God tier characters to magic user characters. And again, I kind of like my stuff defined with powers and limits. And when you got magic, you just go, you can explain anything. It's just it's magic. I fixed it. Poof, Hey. So again, crafting those stories that feel like they have real consequences, or they have real things at stake. There's another one of the animated ones that I watch, which I understand all the animated stuff is based off of real books, and I haven't read everything, but I watched the one where it was, what was the Constantine basically had to sacrifice himself and become with the spear of destiny, and he became a spirit with to defeat this bad guy and everything, and it was like, whoa, it was so good. But I don't know.
City of Demons movie?
I can't remember which one it was, but I watched it like maybe a year ago, and I was like, wow, I was blown away by the storyline. But
Yeah, because like little caveat off of this character, but still pertains to this character, is you had Matt Ryan play him. But not only did he play him across multiple shows, he voiced the character Constantine in a lot of the animated stuff.
right, and then we've got Keanu coming back to play him again in the movies. So we got the second Constantine.
And watching Constantine the first time, at the time it came out, I didn't know that was a character.
Right. Everybody was like, the comics fans were so upset because Keanu refused to dye his hair blonde for the character. And he's like, nobody cares what color his hair is. Kind of.
It's kind of
I think one of my first exposures to Constantine was, I believe it was Constantine, where he's talking to this guy, and the guy's like a terrible character, and he puts the guy in a box that no one can see in the middle of the road, like in the middle of the sidewalk. And then like you're reading the story, and then like literally, like I think maybe a couple issues later, they're walking down the road, and there's this box with a skeleton in it. Like it's literally like 20 or 30 years later, and there's this box in the middle of the road, this invisible box with this bad guy. Just is a skeleton.
Nice. I really enjoyed the character from what I saw, and I'm pretty sure I got a couple of Hellblazer comics, but again, this wasn't a character comic wise that I've read a lot about.
So you haven't read all of the Sandman stuff originally?
No.
So because the Sandman television series or the Netflix series, Joanna Constantine was originally in the books was John Constantine.
Oh.
But because of the licensing, they couldn't put John Constantine in, so they had to make a new character.
Gotcha. All right.
But yeah, he's a great, like Comics Limited say Constantine, favorite Magic Universe user. Yeah. So again, but yeah, like I like my stuff a little more defined, but again, Hellblazer is a great series. Well done. Almost every story that you read, very entertaining.
So next one, the Sorcerer Supreme. He's not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore right now, is he?
No, actually, it's Dr. Doom. This is the Sorcerer Supreme, I believe. Because we had so we were just talking about, what was the vampire thing that just happened? Was
it Dark Reign? Because now I can't remember.
Somebody chime in the chat. It was the vampire storyline in Marvel that just happened, where everybody was becoming infected. So Doctor Strange became a vampire. He was kind of a bad guy. Blood Hunt.
Thank you.
Yes, right. So during that course of that storyline, Doctor Strange lost the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme to Doctor Doom. So yeah.
Thank you. I don't know why I kept going to Dark Reign. Maybe because it felt vampire-y.
Then we said earlier we were both like Blood Rain. No, it was something blood something. But yeah, no. Again, it's magic. But I love Doctor Strange in New Avengers. The whole storyline with him, and then we had Brother Voodoo becoming Sorcerer Supreme for a while in there. So I loved when Doctor Strange was a member of the Avengers. The movies, amazing. His shortcoming, I think, to me, it seems like his weaknesses or whatever, his drawbacks or his overconfidence, maybe. Being kind of full of himself. He gave it up to Dr. Doom. Okay. Well, I read the end of the issue where he gave up the mantle, and he's like cursing Doom, like he's saying, like, like, damn you, Victor, for being so selfish and everything. It could have been another way. You had to take you had to take the glory or something, or he's watching the cloak and the amulet float away. But yeah.
So let me ask you: Did you ever watch the Doctor Strange movie?
The old one?
Peter Houghton?
No, I haven't seen. I've seen just snippets of it. I know it. It didn't. It didn't look like some of the visuals looked all right, but what do you think? Did you watch it?
I was very, very young because it was obviously on, regular television, a Saturday movie or something. I just remember, again, not knowing about Doctor Strange being a comic character. I just thought it was another like sorcery kind of movie. I remember at the time liking it though. I
Right,
mean, I don't
right.
know if it holds up now, but I remember at the time liking it.
Well, you like the Supergirl movie too, so
That's
it's right in
true.
that same time period, right?
That's true. But so switching from this doctor, got
To
Doctor
another
Fate.
doctor. Well, that's a great image too.
Yeah, you picked a good one there.
Dr. Fate. Yeah, again, like so powerful. I was well portrayed in the Black Adam movie. Like Pierce Brosnan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, again, I don't I know he's the helm is like a different consciousness when he puts that on that guides him and everything too as well.
Yeah,
It's like just another one of
New
those higher power things. Is what
Nubu or Nobu.
you probably won't know more about Dr. Fate than I do. Because you're more of a
Uh,
DC guy.
yeah, I mean, not too terribly much more. The helmet of fate holds the god Nobu or Nubu. I never remember the god's name, but he basically he's the vessel for this
Right.
god.
Right.
And it was at a time like the longer he left the helmet on, the less control he actually had.
Right.
Um, and
It's like I
again,
think what I was reading, there's been multiple Dr. Fates from what I
yeah,
was reading. Yeah.
oh yeah. There, the first one I think his name was Connor or Kurt, maybe.
It's like Connor Kent, isn't
Yeah,
that?
exactly. Um, in my viewpoint, though, like I think that as far as power set goes, I would place Nobu. Thank you. I knew it
Nope.
was.
There we go.
I was close. I think I would rate. This is no bias towards DC. I think I rate him a little higher than Doctor Strange. At
Well,
least,
you're talking about like a, a deity, right? Versus
yeah,
just somebody who's using magic, right? So,
yeah,
but again,
yeah.
I think DC kind of scales more to the higher Monty Hall power set,
Yeah, because
like
they're about like gods trying to be men, while Marvel is men trying to be gods or
I think
something.
that's a really good way to say it. Like I had somebody who was talking about like the Justice League, and they were talking about Batman. He's like, Batman is just a man amongst a bunch of gods, and he's holding his own. That shows you how he was talking about like who does he think is like the most deserving of like wow. And he's like, look at what this guy's got. Like literally, he's amongst gods.
Yeah. So the next one you got, it's probably one of my favorite just because of how she casts her spells. Zatanna. Another. Is this Art Germ? Do you think?
I think
Maybe?
I think that's our germ. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zatanna Zatara. Zatara is her dad's name.
Zatanna and Zatara. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first, I think my first like real like I started to kind of know more about her was during the Identity Crisis. She played a big piece in that, where she was one of the ones who helped to erase Dr. Light's memory and then erased Batman's memory and Catwoman's memory. And it was They're like, yeah, at one point during that thing, they're like, how many times have we erased Bruce's memory? And he always figures it out. And then Bruce is like, who else have you done this to? And she kind of gets this like ashamed look, and she's like, we had to. You needed help, otherwise eventually someone would have killed you. And you find out that it was during this time period where he was really romantically involved with Catwoman, and then you come to find out that they had altered Catwoman's personality so that she would help him and be on his side.
Wow.
And so then he's like, he doesn't even know what to believe. Like, does Catwoman's, does she really love me? Do we really care? What is the basis of our relationship? Is it based on, them messing with our heads? Just, if you guys haven't read Identity Crisis, it's really good. It's Brad Meltzer, I think, he's like originally was like a novelist, and that was his first foray into comics. And really some really interesting stuff in there.
Yeah.
So,
again,
but I do like Zatanna a lot.
Yeah.
And then she had to deal with then the fallout of that, like Catwoman not being happy with her, and Batman obviously not being happy with her.
True.
But great character. Actually, I have her first appearance here somewhere.
Oh.
I picked that up from Collective 6. I think we think it's like a high nines copy of her first appearance. Hawkman number 4.
Well, to me, she's always been one of those characters that kind of just shows up when she's needed.
Mm-hmm.
Always been an interesting character. Like, to me, maybe not the strongest magical wise, but still formidable magic wise.
Yeah.
But I would say that she'd be a balanced out of, Fate, Doctor Strange, Constantine. I find her to be the most balanced.
Yeah. I love, like you said, how she casts her spells. If you guys aren't familiar, how does she cast her spells?
Backwards. She says the word backwards.
She speaks backwards in the spells.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, I think the first time I figured out how that worked is she says Batman stop backwards in the Identity Crisis. And I was like, what is that? Oh, it says Batman stop. I was like, is that how she casts her spells? That's so cool.
Very interesting. I'd never seen anybody else, like any other character anywhere magic wise cast spells like that. It's always Latin or something like that.
Right.
So, super interesting character.
Cool.
Next next one's 2 for 1. Because these are both
here. Hey,
regenerative buddies.
Yes. So this was a request on behalf of Jay, because again, we were talking about what we like parameters, define power limits, or define parameters or stakes for our characters. And he's like, is this OP? I mean, like the way that these guys, they're never going to die. I mean, so you guys chime in. What do you guys think? Are Deadpool and Wolverine OP?
Yes, because I know on more than one occasion, Deadpool's been turned into mist and it's come back, like from a single cell. There are also times in certain stories you see where the regenerative healing factor they have works in different modes sometimes. Like in one book, they can be shot, bullet hits, next panel it's already closed up. There's other times it takes a little bit longer.
Right. There was a famous issue of Wolverine where the artist or the artist didn't speak English. I forget the name of the artist. Travis will probably remember that. But the writer said Wolverine is caught on fire and he's burned down at some points to the bone. And so the artist drew Wolverine. He was incinerated down to his skeleton. He was gone. And they were like, And so they wrote this, because of the schedule they were on, the artist then he was like, okay, well, he wrote this whole storyline where when Wolverine dies, every time he goes and dies, he goes into the realm of the dead and he has to fight death and beat him in Mortal Kombat to come back to life. And so in that way he can regenerate and come back to being Wolverine. So it was interesting because the artist, I think he was an Italian artist, that he read it as Wolverine is incinerated down to his bones.
Yeah, because then you have stories like Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, where I think he uses Silver Samurai's sword to behead Logan.
There is a sword. There's the Masamura blade that is like an atom's width or whatever. It could actually. That's the one blade that they say could kill Sabretooth or Wolverine. Yeah.
Okay. It's like, well, the healing factor doesn't work then.
Right. Obviously, it wouldn't work for Deadpool either, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, although he's been reduced to a talking head before too. So
true. So, as far as regenerative properties, the healing factor goes, I think, depending on who's writing the story, as I say with most things,
right,
both these guys can be just a little bit OP.
Right. I would agree. Like Braun said, he really likes the stories or Wolverine back in the day where Wolverine, it took him a little while to regenerate. It took him, he's trying to buy time so he can get back on his feet. Unless the M-Chron, because there's an issue of X-Men where it's the Wolverine is out drunk, or not drunk because he can't get drunk, but he's out drinking. And he's basically taken away. He's going to be judged as the representative of humanity, of whether the human race gets to continue to evolve. And he has to go through this whole crucible of stuff. And as he's going through, you see all of these big statues of different races, the Skrulls, the Kree. All these guys didn't pass the test. They don't get to evolve anymore. And Wolverine is there. It's this crystal he has to go get to. He's about to get to the crystal, and the bad guy shows up, and he rips Wolverine's heart out, and he's laughing, and just one splash of his blood hits the crystal, and it totally regenerates his entire body. Yeah.
So next one we got two more after this one. Then we got the community art to go through. So
right. We're getting there. I'm sorry it's taking a little bit, guys, but I'm enjoying the time. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are too.
Yeah, Thanks I was worried about making it the 2 hours.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
Not the Flash.
He's a little OP. I mean, this guy can go back in time. He can run so fast, right? I mean,
yeah.
When they had what was it? They had some storyline recently where it was he's running and Superman is running to catch up with him, and he's like, Barry, you forget I'm just as fast as you are. And he turns his head to Superman and he goes, Clark, there's one thing I have to tell you. I let you win. And he's boom, just smokes him.
Yes. Barry is as fast as the story needs him to be sometimes.
Right.
Which to me, it's always funny that for me, one of my favorite villains for him, yeah, I love Professor Zoom and all that, but Captain Cold.
Mm-hmm.
Like Captain Cold for me, for whatever reason, is like one of my favorite villains for him. And I don't know what it is, but
have you seen the new version of that quote with Sonic and Flash? I haven't. He was waiting this whole time for us to bring up Flash because he was asking about Sonic earlier. Okay, what is it, Rick? You got to chime it in. So is there one where Sonic says, "I let you win"?
I will have to say, when it comes to those mashup covers they've been doing for those have
Yeah,
been really awesome.
yeah,
But yeah, Flash to me is a character that's like, I'm glad they give him villains other than speedsters. I know he does have quite a few speedster villains, but I like the fact that he has a
yeah. Like
Captain Boomerang or
Captain Boomerang, he has Heat Wave, and Captain Gold. He's got, what's the other one? Mirror Master.
Mirror Master. Yep.
Um, the Trickster.
Oh
He's got a
yeah.
really good rogue. He's got a really good rogues gallery, actually.
Yep. And John Wesley Shipp, when I was a kid, playing Flash.
Oh
One of
yeah,
my,
yeah.
one of my favorite TV shows when I was a kid. And then he comes back and he's Henry Allen on the Flash, the CW Flash series. So yeah, this one has always been like his speed has never really been consistent.
Right.
It's basically how fast does he need to be for this story? Cosmic treadmill, or running back in time, or just fast enough to catch the bad guys.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, you got. I think like it's cool that like Barry is his own, Flash, and then Wally is equally great Flash. I mean, then you got another great villain there for, I don't know if Vandal Savage wasn't really so much Barry's villain as Wally's villain, right?
I think so.
The immortal guy. Yeah. But listen, kid, I'm Flash. I'm speed personified. Then I am speed perfected. Okay. That's cool.
What a surprise hit apparently that book has been. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but that Justice League Sonic crossover that they did
Uh-huh.
apparently is just like doing gangbusters.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, I think his power set is pretty crazy for the Flash. Like you said, depending on who's writing it, pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the next one might have some people thinking why, but Squirrel Girl.
You see, requested. This is a Jay request.
Because and the thing is, I requested this because I was like, she beat somebody, and then I'm like, oh my goodness, who was it that she beat?
Dr. Doom.
I
She did beat Dr. Doom.
I thought it was Thanos.
She may have. I'm not up on, and man, we were commenting. She didn't look like that when she first came out.
No. And Rook, we were trying to figure out. I think I know two of the names of the squirrels. Is it Monkey Joe and Tippy Toe? Does anybody know the names of the squirrels?
Somebody got to give us the names of the squirrels in the chat.
Oh, she has beaten both.
She's beaten. Okay, so yeah, I know. Just because the squirrels somehow get inside Doom's arm. Tippy. Okay, Tippy's one of them from Marvel Rivals. Okay.
I just, to me, if you can beat those characters by yourself, you're pretty OP. You're pretty OP. You're pretty OP. Most times it takes teams of people to fight these villains. And maybe one day when Bronze comes back, we can do a most OP villains.
That would be cool. Yeah, for sure. It's only if it's off screen. Okay. Yeah, you were. I remember this was on your show, right? You were like, "Oh, well, I know one that's going to be on the list. It's going to have to be Squirrel Girl."
Squirrel Girl, because I mean, fun character. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a hater, but you're going to tell me that it took almost the entirety of the Marvel Universe to take on Thanos, and you get Squirrel Girl beats him off screen.
I think it's like it's written for, depending on who's writing it, right?
Yeah.
But boy, talk about, she's got a great fan following. I mean, that first appearance was a Marvel Summer Special. Big book.
She's a fun character. She is fun.
Boy, but when they first drew her, she was not attractive.
No, I remember for a time they went back to a different version of her, and I was like, well, you gave us a good version, and then you went to this, and then I haven't seen the character recently in comics, but
well, the Marvel Rivals, they did a picture of her for Marvel Rivals. Campbell did a picture. She's pretty good looking. She's still got the buck teeth though. You don't see she doesn't have the buck teeth in this one.
No,
but in the Rivals one, she's got buck teeth still.
Let's see. She was 14.
She was 14 when she appeared to be fair. Okay, there we go.
So the last one we have on the list, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. OP. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
OP right off the bat. I don't remember who it is.
Battle Beast.
This is another one of your requests. Battle Beasts. He can hold his own with a Viltrumite, right?
Oh, for 3 days.
Right.
Like somebody had said that earlier, and I can't remember who said it, but yeah, fought one of the toughest Viltrumites for 3 days. And then in the series, didn't he fight 2 of them at a time?
Yeah. Well, I think when he first appears, that's the whole reason he came he's like, I was told there'd be a Viltrumite here to fight.
Yeah.
She showed up to fight Invincible. So
yes. This dude is basically like, I've never been defeated. I'm going to search the cosmos. Extra hides can be taken away from. Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know about that. Okay.
I'm going to search the cosmos for something that can defeat me. Now, granted, I know within the Invincible series, he eventually is defeated, and then we get his daughter.
Right.
But so far in the Battle Beast, the first issue, this looks like it's taking place right after that first fight with Invincible.
Right. Yep.
Right. This dude is yes, and I think Rook, I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
Ouch. No one. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that's coming up. So yeah, but yeah,
because I don't remember the fight 100% because there's, like I said, I skipped around the Invincible universe reading certain things. All this dude wants to do is fight, and he wants to fight because he wants to lose.
Right.
He like that's the kind of character he is. He's only fighting because he wants somebody to beat him.
Right.
So again, you get to that point where the guy is so confident in his own abilities that he's like, I'm so bored now. I want somebody to beat me. I want to find somebody that can take me on.
That scene in the cartoon where it's or the animated series where it's him and Alan and Omni-Man. It's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this character, I still love this character though. I still love this character. Like there's so many. Invincible is a series where it's hard for me to point out a character that I didn't like a little bit. I mean, Alan. You just said Alan the Alien. Alan the Alien is such. I cannot read my Invincible comics when Alan's on the page and not hear Seth Rogen's voice.
Right. Yeah.
So this was the last one. I'm definitely saying OP. Whatever beats him is going to be more OP.
Great character for sure.
Really
well, that would lead into our villains, right?
Yes.
So we did have one piece of news, right? So we wanted to go over just one quick piece of news. So we'll go a little somber note here, and then we're going to go to our art. So we did lose somebody in the comics community. So Peter David unfortunately passed away May 24th. Great writer, amazing writer for Hulk. X Factor had a huge following for Star Trek novels. Wrote a lot of scripts for shows like Babylon 5 and things like that. So just an amazing writer and talented individual, and passed away way too young. I mean, he was only, 68 years old. So was fighting a lot of other health issues, but I guess apparently he had a stroke. According to the New York Times, I was reading an article about that, but just he will be missed. An incredibly talented individual. So I know Bronze would want us to hit that piece of news at least.
Yeah,
news is his big thing. So,
yeah.
So, all right. Now on to a lighter note. We're going to go with some community artwork, and I think one of the people.
My heart, I'll set it free. My creation here for all to see.
I forgot you were going to do that.
You know that thing when you get like, oh, let me find it real fast. Let me make sure I'm on the right thing. And my finger twitched right when you said the community art, and I was like, oh, well, I pressed it.
Okay, so Rook has got a couple of things there. What do you say?
Yes.
His wife is still having to pay for the medical bill, so if anyone would like to support the GoFundMe, they can.
Give me just a second. I'm actually going to go find that list real fast, or that page real fast.
Okay. So while you do that, I will say that what I was going to say is I think one of the people in our chat is going to be one of the first people we're going to show for artwork. But I'll let you go ahead and finish up getting your link for that important thing for the David family. So we'll go ahead and pop that up on the screen there. So
thank you for reminding me, Rook. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So there is that. If you guys would like to go over and help out the David family, Peter has supplied us with some great memories and stories. Future Imperfect with the Maestro. What a great storyline there. People don't remember that he was the writer that really was doing a lot of the writing that brought Todd McFarlane through with Hulk and Dale Keown through with Hulk. So those great stories were done by Mr. David. So,
all right.
Okay.
First one on the list.
Community art. Hey, look, here's a piece by Travis from Comics Limited. And he did this. This is a commission that he did. And he did the front and back cover for somebody. So there's the drum set for Gwen and her band, the Mary Janes. So that's the back cover. And then the front cover was the Spider Gwen. So beautiful piece there, Travis. Awesome. Very talented. Love the corner box too. Very good.
Yeah.
Good job. And then we got a beautiful Thor cover by Elliot Wright. You can find him on Instagram. It's LXSTBoy52 on Instagram. So Elliot's super talented. You'll see he does a ton of these really great blank covers, sketch covers. And he's also a very talented tattoo artist as well. So that's kind of where he's honed his craft and then kind of bringing it over to do some comic stuff.
How awesome is that hammer?
He also has his own comic.
Like, I'm just that hammer twirl, just the way that it fades.
Yeah.
That is.
He did a great job. It's just in black and gray and white, right? I mean, it's really good.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we got another piece here from Dominic Gomez. You can find him at Dom Gomez Art on Instagram. Dom also is producing a book. I believe he's going to be doing a Kickstarter for a book that he's doing. So you guys can find him over there on Instagram. And he's been giving us some great pieces to show every week. So love that Green Goblin. Super cool looking. Kind of like very gesture art lines there and stuff. So very cool. And then shout out. This is Steve Driscoll. Steve is, you guys don't know him, Comics with Stevie D on YouTube, or Steve Driscoll. Let's see, Steve Driscoll 59 on Instagram. But he is in his 60s, I believe. just started drawing, first time ever drawing. And I have been watching him progress. This is one of his early pieces. So I'll be showing more pieces as he goes along. But he is getting better and better and better. And he told me today, he said, I'm coming at art like I do music. He's also a musician. And he said, I practice every day, and every day see a little bit, getting a little bit better, a little bit better. So did you ever wonder if Thor was hammering a nail and hit his thumb, if lightning bolts would shoot out his ears?
Why, yes. Yes, I have.
So there
That's
you go.
fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so,
You know, anybody that attempts to do art, and not only attempts it, but wants to share it,
yeah.
put it out there like this, man, respect.
Yeah, no, that's the whole point of this. Is we just want to like encourage people to, here's this guy. He's never considered drawing in his entire life, and now he's sending pieces in. He's sending me like 2-3 pieces every day. He's really like, and he's showing me like a lot of times he's going like he's got a reference piece and another, and he's like, and I'm like, that's cool. You gotta learn. So you're looking at other people's stuff as an inspiration. That's totally cool. That's so hard, like to figure. He's like, today he said, I'm trying to figure out hands and feet now. Hands and feet are really bothering me.
Aren't those supposedly some of the toughest parts of the body to draw?
Oh, yeah, because your hand can take so many different forms,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so yeah, really hard to draw. So yeah, so thank you to everybody who has contributed the community artwork. We really appreciate it and hope to see more from you guys in the coming weeks. And I think we're kind of wrapping things up here. So I just want to thank Jay for being here tonight. Yeah, no, it's super fun. And we'll have our good friend Mr. Bronze Age Nerd himself, Christopher, back next week. But I will leave us with his catchphrase, and then my catchphrase. His catchphrase is, "Hey, hey, hey, read comics every day." Mine is, "Share your love of comics with everyone you meet. You never know where it may lead you." So with that, thank you guys. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
See ya.